Greetings, gentle readers. I just witnessed a phone call between my lady and a Catholic priest regarding one of his parishioners who was her godmother when she was growing up. Now, my lady had just had her DNA test done by 23andme. It turned out that the person that she had been raised believing was her father was in fact not her father. That in fact her biological father was her godfather. Now, this man is deceased, and his wife, her godmother, is still alive and is an avid Catholic. So we called her priest to discuss with him how this should be handled and what would be the best way to prevent anybody from getting hurt and what would be the best course of action to follow so that the knowledge could be disseminated and that the family could possibly have time together as a family. Well, this guy did not really exhibit very much compassion, or any at all, for that matter. He essentially had zero recognition of the legitimacy of a DNA test. Essentially said, well, how can the test be accurate if the father is already dead? Well, the test showed that she is related to his grandchildren by an excessive amount. Essentially, the 12% you'd expect from someone to have from a half-brother's children. And so his responses were just across the line, just deplorable. They were reprehensible. He said there was no empathy at all from this man. He said that Kay is not a child anymore, so why does she need a family? She said that that from what he knew of the children, that without just right off the bat that they would reject her as a sibling, because that's just what would happen. They don't want to know about Grandpa's indiscretions. In speaking about the family, Kay had nothing but good things to say, and was compassionate and speaking about how this is just about connecting with people and being available as a family member if something should happen. The godmother is near 90, if not already past 90, and she's only a couple hours away, as opposed to the children who are a day's travel or plane flights away. This priest actually suggested that she might not go to hell necessarily for being an illegitimate child because her father was married to her mother. Her putative father was married to her mother when she was born. It's preposterous, and I'm shocked and amazed that this is the state of what one would expect from a Catholic priest. And even more so, he claims he's never heard of someone claiming that they were related to another family and utilizing DNA. That an illegitimate child would make a family claim based on DNA. To give you an idea of where this person's mentality and knowledge of the modern world is, it literally blows my mind. I'm I'm astonished that the Catholic Church would allow someone like this to communicate with people, and to communicate in such a cold fashion. He offered her not one word of compassion, did not ask how she was doing or dealing with any of these things, or even express concern that it may have been upsetting to her to find this stuff out at 46, 47 years old. And I'm most disappointed. I recently had a situation with myself where I had asked my father to provide a sample for ancestry.com. The tests that the first test that had been done was from 23andme, and then we're following it up with ancestry.com to find out how these relationships and more family history can happen. But my father initially was reasonably enthusiastic about it, and said he would agree to take the test, and I told him I'd send him the sample kit and whatnot. And then he spoke with my brother, who is a geneticist. You have to understand, my father at first asked me how I knew that these tests weren't performed by charlatans or were just a scam of some sort. And I said, well, you need to look into what your other son does, who is a PhD in genetics and uses the same equipment, uses the same PCR machines and all the same techniques to gather his data. So if you believe that Johns Hopkins is handing out PhDs for people to scam people with, then we need to have a different conversation. And so he agreed to the test, and then he spoke with my brother, and miraculously then didn't want to do it anymore. He has rejected the idea. And I find myself in a position of feeling a bit hurt by this, and I don't really understand. So I find it appalling that a priest would speak to anybody in this fashion, especially somebody who was calling, looking for a little bit for some answers and to how to help one of their parishioners with a serious situation. I mean, his advice was forget about it, go away, don't ever bring this up to anybody, and you're an illegitimate child who's going to purgatory. And it's like, okay, that's neither helpful nor useful, and in reality just kind of plain mean. So I would encourage everyone out there who is doing any sort of genealogical research or DNA testing to be prepared that you're liable to find things that you may not have expected, which is part of the reason why people want to have some of these tests done, so that they can answer questions that they may not know or may have suspected, or or just want to know more for the sake of knowing. So I sincerely hope that this message and others out there will encourage people to be more compassionate and helpful to people in need who are really just trying to get some answers, because in the end, that might be all we get, is some answers. So, thanks very much, and have a good night.